Let's get started with our first news. Tom Aspenol versus Sirill for the interim title. Things have taken a dramatic turn as Chael Sonnen appears to have reversed his position regarding the much anticipated potential matchup between Jon Jones and Tom Aspenol. Just yesterday, Chael confidently claimed that the fight had been agreed upon. He even went so far as to say there was a confirmed date in place. This had fans buzzing, thinking the fight between the current heavyweight champion and the interim champ was finally going to happen. However, in a surprising twist, Chael has issued a new statement today that completely changes the narrative. He now says that Tom Aspenol will not be fighting Jon Jones as previously reported. Instead, he's expected to defend his interim title once again, and this time the opponent will be none other than Sirill. This is a major development in the heavyweight division, and it's raising a lot of questions. Is Jon Jones really out of the picture? Is he avoiding the fight, or is the UFC just shifting its focus elsewhere? Fans are left wondering what exactly changed in the last 24 hours to make Chael do a complete 180 on his position. On his YouTube channel, Chael gave more details, saying, "You guys probably haven't heard this. You're probably getting this right from me. From the time this leaves my mouth to the time we get this to California, turned around and onto the internet, is going to be about 40 minutes. So the only way I get scooped on this is if somebody hits me in like 40 minutes. The current plan right now, Tom Aspenol versus Sirill for the interim championship." That's a bold statement, and coming from Chael, who's known for being plugged in and often ahead of the curve, it carries weight. If what he's saying is accurate, then fans might want to start preparing for an explosive clash between Aspenol and Gane, rather than waiting on the Jones showdown. This potential matchup is huge. Aspenol has looked unstoppable lately, and Gane, despite his setback against Jones, is still one of the most skilled heavyweights on the roster. If this fight does happen, it could be one of the most high-level interim title fights we've ever seen. More updates are surely coming, but for now, it seems like Tom Aspenol versus Sirill is what's next. Fight. Despite his undefeated run and growing fan support, it looks like the rising featherweight contender is still being overlooked by the promotion. After Alexander Volkanovski reclaimed his featherweight title in dominant fashion, he did something unexpected. He actually called out Evloev during an interview with Fox Sports Australia, saying that he'd like to be the one to fight him next. This should have been a massive moment for Movsar, the champion himself showing interest in facing him. But unfortunately, Evloev now claims that behind the scenes, the UFC is doing everything they can to keep him away from that opportunity. In a recent interview with Russian reporter Vlad Kolos, Evloev shared a pretty shocking story. According to him, the UFC wouldn't even let him congratulate Volkanovski after his big win. He was at UFC 314 and tried to approach Volk backstage, but was stopped by security. "The UFC is trying to keep me as far away from anything title related as possible," Evloev said. "I was at UFC 314. After the fight, I had the opportunity to talk to the UFC. They did not want this. When the event was over, we were walking out through the hallway. Volk was standing not far from me, talking to the fans and staff. I wanted to go up to him and congratulate him, but the security guys didn't let me and took me to the opposite side. That's not just a snub, that's a message." And Evloev is picking up on it loud and clear. "This shows who the UFC wants to see in the next title fight," he added. "Apparently in their eyes, I am not worthy of the title yet. Give me the opportunity to prove that I'm worthy. If 9 wins in the best organization in the world isn't enough, I'm ready to fight 9 more times." It's clear that Evloev is frustrated, but he's not backing down. He's willing to take on anyone and keep grinding until the UFC has no choice but to give him that title shot. It's rare to see a fighter on a 9-fight win streak still getting this little recognition, especially in a division as stacked as featherweight. Of course, it begs the question, what more does he need to do? Beat another top 5 contender, take out a fan favorite, or is it all just a matter of marketability and timing? One thing is for sure, Movsar Evloev isn't going anywhere. He's hungry, he's undefeated, and he's more motivated than ever to prove that he belongs in the title picture. Moving on to another major story. Kaio Baralio admits that he got beat up by Khamzat Chimaev during training. That's right, Kaio has finally opened up about his past training sessions with the undefeated Chechen beast after a now viral clip surfaced online, showing Chimaev choking him out during sparring. This all comes at an interesting time. Kaio Baralio, who's currently eyeing the interim middleweight title, has actually called out Khamzat for a potential fight. Why? Because recent reports suggest that the highly anticipated UFC 317 7 main event between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat might be off after the champ reportedly suffered an injury, and with that opening, Kaio threw his name in the mix. In response, Khamzat didn't hold back. He posted that brutal clip of himself submitting Kaio during training, clearly mocking the Brazilian for daring to challenge him. But rather than denying or downplaying the footage, Kaio took a different route. He decided to own it. In a new interview with Submission Radio, Kaio Baralio got real about what went down during those intense sessions with Khamzat and admitted that yeah, he got beat up, but there's more to the story than just that one clip. So, at the time that I went to Khamzat's training camp, Kaio said, I have no problem to say that I got beat up, you know, cause I was helping him, you know what I mean? I was there to help him. He then described just how brutal those training camps were, not just for him, but for everyone who stepped into that gym with Chimaev. Just think with me, Kaio continued. Khamzat had like 10 sparring partners. All of those guys, he never became friends with them. Why? Because they kill each other in training. Khamzat like hurt them, and then they needed to leave in like 1 week or 5 days or 4 days. They couldn't stand his training camp for 1 week. People just kept coming in and out, he said. No one could survive. No one could stand with him through the whole training camp, but Kaio did. I was the only one that stayed with him. We became friends. I stayed with him for almost 2 months. I was in Sweden for 3-4 weeks, and then I was in Vegas for 2-3 weeks, training with him every day. He emphasized that his goal wasn't to prove anything in those sessions. It was to help Khamzat prepare. He knows I was trying to help him. He knows I was there to make him win a fight. So if I need to get that and get beat up for 5 rounds, I don't have ego. I don't have nothing against it. I'm there to help, and I'm learning a lot, and that's what I did. Now the big question is, will these two end up facing off inside the octagon for real? And if they do, how different will it look the second time around? Moving on to another big update, Ilia Topuria news. That's right, we've got a major update on what's next for the undefeated featherweight champion, Ilia Topuria. Just last night, Topuria posted something very interesting on X, formerly known as Twitter. He simply wrote, "The camp has begun." Now, that might sound subtle, but for fight fans who've been closely watching the division, this one sentence speaks volumes. It was soon followed by insider reports that Ilia Topuria will be returning to the octagon, and not just for any fight, but to challenge for the lightweight title at UFC 317. Yes, you heard that right. Ilia Topuria is reportedly moving up a division to fight for UFC gold at 155 pounds. Now here's where things get a little murky. While it's confirmed that Topuria's next fight will be for the lightweight championship, we still don't know who he's going to face, and whether the fight will be for the undisputed or a vacant belt. Let's break it down. The current lightweight king is none other than Islam Makhachev, who's been dominating the division since winning the title from Charles Oliveira. But right now, Islam has made it very clear he's eyeing a shot at a second belt. He wants to move up and fight for the welterweight championship, and he's waiting for the outcome of the upcoming title clash between Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena, scheduled for next month. So the million-dollar question is, will Islam stay at lightweight and defend his title against Topuria, or vacate the belt and move up to welterweight full-time? According to the latest reports, Ilia Topuria will not be fighting for an interim title. That means it's all or nothing. Either the undisputed championship if Islam stays, or the vacant title if Islam decides to pursue double champ status and gives up his belt. If Islam vacates, the UFC is reportedly looking to match Ilia Topuria against Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight championship, a fight that fans have already started hyping online, a clash between two of the most explosive, dynamic, and dangerous fighters in the world. Topuria, still undefeated, would be going up against the most lethal submission artist in UFC history, a guy who's finished nearly every opponent he's faced, and if that fight happens, it could be one of the biggest lightweight showdowns in recent memory. So, as it stands, Ilia Topuria has officially started camp. He's preparing for a shot at the lightweight belt at UFC 317. Who he'll face, Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, or someone else, remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, the era of El Matador is only just getting started. Moving on to another major headline, Israel Adesanya is officially pushing for a rematch with Sean Strickland. That's right, in a recent and highly anticipated conversation with none other than David Goggins, the former middleweight champion opened up about what's next, and it looks like he's laser focused on avenging his loss to the man who shocked the world in 2023. Sean Strickland. Now, let's rewind the clock a bit. Back in September 2023, Sean Strickland stepped into the octagon in Sydney, Australia, and pulled off one of the most unexpected upsets in UFC history. He dominated Israel Adesanya over 5 rounds and walked away with a unanimous decision victory, winning 5 rounds to 0 on the judges' scorecards. It was a clean sweep, and Adesanya admits it. In this new interview, Izzy doesn't sugarcoat what happened. He straight up says, "He whooped me. 5-0. Just whooped me badly." He even shared how that loss forced him to step back and reassess his career. After years of staying ultra active, fighting 3 to 4 times a year as a champion, Adesanya realized it was time to slow down. He's older now, more seasoned, and more self-aware. He's no longer chasing quantity. He wants quality. He wants revenge. But most importantly, he wants to show the world what happens when he's fighting at his absolute best. "I just don't want to make excuses," he said, "cause he beat me, but now I just want to show him what happens when I come at him correct." Then he dropped the line that really said it all. "I gotta get some debt back." He's not calling it a grudge match, but the way he described Sean Strickland, it's clear this one is personal. Adesanya even went as far as saying that Sean reminded him of the bullies he faced as a kid, that his behavior, the way he talks, the way he fights, triggered something deep inside him, something emotional, something that's not just about belts or rankings, it's about closure. In a sense, he attacked the young me, Adesanya explained, the inner child, so I just want to protect him and get some get back on. David Goggins, known for pushing people past their mental limits, immediately responded with full support. "I love it." So there you have it. Israel Adesanya has his eyes locked on one man, Sean Strickland, and this time it's not just about reclaiming gold, it's about proving a point, about showing the world and himself that when he's rested, focused, and at his peak, nobody beats the last stylebender twice. Now, moving on to another major story in the MMA world, Ariel Helwani is pointing fingers, and he's making it very clear. If the fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall doesn't happen, it's Jon Jones who's to blame. That's right, in a recent segment on the MMA Hour, Helwani gave his full take on the potential heavyweight clash between the reigning UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones and interim champ Tom Aspinall. And according to Helwani, the blame doesn't fall on the UFC or on Aspinall. It all comes down to Jon Jones himself. My understanding is, if this fight doesn't come to fruition, if for whatever reason it falls apart and we never get to see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, the UFC is not to blame, Helwani said. He emphasized that the UFC has been actively trying to get this fight booked, and not just in a casual way. Helwani made it clear that based on everything he's heard and all the conversations he's had behind the scenes, the UFC has made every effort, in what he called very good faith, to lock this fight in. Now, he was careful with his words at first, saying, "in my opinion," but then quickly corrected himself. "Actually, not just my opinion. This is based on what I'm reading, what's being told to me, and what I'm surmising from insiders. This is real." In short, if the fight doesn't happen, don't look at the UFC, don't look at Tom Aspinall, look directly at Jon Jones. Obviously, when fights don't come to fruition, there's a multitude of reasons. It's never just one single thing, Ariel admitted, but in this case, I firmly believe that the decision rests on Jon Jones, and always has. He continued, saying, "This isn't some massive breaking news revelation, but if Jon wanted this fight to be a done deal today, I don't mean the fight taking place today, but contract signed, locked in, it could be done today. It's up to him," Ariel repeated, "and it's always been up to him." Now, this adds another layer of pressure and intrigue to the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall has been actively campaigning for this unification bout. Fans are demanding it. The UFC appears willing, and yet there's radio silence on Jon Jones' side. With Jones recovering from injury and his return timeline still uncertain, the ball is clearly in his court, but Helwani's words have sparked a bigger debate in the MMA community. Is Jon Jones avoiding the fight, or is he simply biding his time? Either way, one thing is now clear. If this clash of champions never materializes, Ariel Helwani is already telling us who to hold accountable.